Today ESO, today let's talk about Battlegrounds. Good day YouTube, today I'd like to talk about Battlegrounds and having played it for like 2 weeks, ever since update 44 has landed, I think I have a clearer picture and a clearer impression of this new setup in the Battlegrounds, right? It is obviously not the most polished. I think first and foremost we have to be thankful that there are new PvP updates in the first place. It's been a long time coming, and with new maps, new format, new mechanics, at least there is a curiosity and there's something for all of us to talk about, right? But having dived in, I think it would not be too much of a lie to say that there are many areas in the new Battlegrounds that requires a lot of refinement. It is not the best gaming experience, and I can even go as far as to say that it should not have been released like that. It should have been cooked a little bit more. So if you were to distill down the lackings and the flaws of the current Battleground, I think I can just summarize it into 2 points. First and foremost, I think the waiting time is too long. And it is ridiculous to ask for players to wait up to 5 minutes just because there's one slot that's not filled up. And we're just talking about 4v4. I don't play 8v8 that much, but it happens as well, right? Let's say you have 4 players on one side filled up, and then on the other side you only have 3 players and you're waiting for that last player. That wait can take up to 5 minutes, and quite a lot of times that last slot was never filled up and the Battlegrounds got cancelled. So everybody just wasted 5 minutes for nothing. And this happens a great deal in the off-peak hours, which is the time slot where players like me would play, because we are not in North America, we are not in Europe. We tend to play in the North peak hours so that the latency is a little bit kinder and gentler. The second problem that I tend to face is that Battlegrounds nowadays, there is not much of a real competition. It's either you wiped or get wiped, and the sad thing is that within the first 15 to 20 seconds of PvPing, you know how the match is going to pan out. Right? It is very clear, it's very transparent, there's no to and fro, there's no unpredictability, there's no variation, which is very unfortunate for any PvP scenario. You go in and you know that no matter how hard you try, this is going to be a one-sided battle. And I think this is definitely not ideal for any multiplayer PvP game. Somehow the developers don't seem to be able to get that perfect permutation and that balance to get fruitful PvP fights happening between people. I think maybe because they don't PvP themselves. Let's talk about some of things that hypothetically we can introduce to perhaps improve these two situations, right? The waiting time, why don't you just let people free for all while waiting for the slots to be filled up? So while waiting for the battle to start, there are no sides. Go in and you can just kill anything or anybody that moves. Or if you don't want free for all, right, introduce bots like what they do in Counter-Strike as well and in Space Marines too, where the missing slots are filled with bots, and then just let the battle start first. People don't give a shit, right? As long as the fight is going on, actual players that come in halfway through the battle can replace the bots. The waiting time has a lot to do with MMR. Now, a lot has been said about this MMR thing that has been refined in ESO, and there's absolutely no transparency as to what really constitutes your MMR score. And is MMR the culprit for us not getting players into the roster on our side? Because ESO servers cannot search for the correct player of the correct profile to fit into your team for the battle to take place, right? So, and then as for the one-sided battle, this has been ongoing forever, and it's actually a problem that has been plaguing the PvP gameplay in Cyrodiil as well as in Battlegrounds. Previously in Battlegrounds, it wasn't that grievous because you have 3 teams, right? It's 4v4v4. So there are a lot more permutations and a lot more unpredictability that can happen. So like 2 strong sides can be like dishing it out against each other, and then the weaker side could just be waiting, and you can reap some rewards if they were to blindside both the better teams when they are weakened. But in this case now, where it's just one side versus the other, you take away that factor, and then so then it becomes a lot more predictable and it's a lot more one-sided, and it's very tragic. If you are on the weaker side, right, what happens is that after a while you will just give up. You may just quit altogether, and you will get the penalty, the 30-minute penalty, where you cannot play another Battlegrounds within 30 minutes. Or what happens is that a lot of players just stay in the spawn spot and they go into hidden mode and they just wait out for the match. So working on the balance, I think firstly you have to look into taking away stack healing. They are either spamming vigor or radiating regeneration, whereby then the entire team cannot be taken out once they stay close together. It makes it very difficult for the other side to have any form of fruitful combat because people don't die. And I know where Zoss is coming from. They're trying to be this anti-World of Warcraft where they make it very friendly and relatable and easy for newcomers to come in, because when new players come into a group that does stack healing, they won't get killed, they won't get discouraged, they will want to continue playing, right? Unlike World of Warcraft where it's very cruel and very unkind to players that are new to the game. But having said that, I think there must be a balancing point between World of Warcraft and the current situation that we have right now. I don't know, man. Like, you know what, honestly, I think the developers, they're just like doing this because they have to do this. They are not playing the PvP themselves and trying to iron out every single king. There's no love for the PvP aspect of the game. Because if that is so, essentially we will not be seeing this kind of unrefined gaming mechanics being released. It should have been sorted out in PTS, right? And the fact that it's released in the current state itself is to say that, you know, we've done what you guys have asked us to do, and it is always going to be a work in progress. We're going to see how players react to this, and then in the next patch we're going to shake things up, and we're going to take it slow because we know that you guys will still be hanging around making videos, and no matter how frustrated you are with the game, you will still be around and part of the community. I think essentially we are giving them the rope to do this to us, right? I have lost count the number of times that I've played Battlegrounds, and after like half a minute of the gameplay, I just quit and go and play Space Marines 2. I'm serious. It is just after half a minute, I knew exactly how it's gonna pan out. Or after half a minute and I'm winning and coasting to victory, I see the other side just totally giving up and hanging their socks up and staying in the spawn spot and not playing PvP. And all of us just waiting for the round to end. It is sad, I think, at least in the 4v4v4 format, this thing doesn't happen. Even though if one side gives up, right, there'll be two sides that are still engaged with each other. The intention and the agenda and the ambition is there. The execution obviously isn't. It's done by people who are going through the motion, and they are doing it like for token's sake. We're going to make the change, let's just do the bare minimum, and then we close shop and wait for the next patch before we refine and improve it further. Endgame PvP can really achieve immortality if they do it right. Will people ever get tired of Counter-Strike? Will people ever get tired of Valorant, Overwatch, Team Fortress? They don't. Even though the maps stay the same, the gaming mechanics stay the same, but if you allow enough permutations and allow a lot of different possibilities to happen within the gameplay itself, PvP endgame can be immortal. It can go on forever. People have invested a lot in their builds, so they're willing to just every so once in a while go into Battlegrounds and just play PvP and see what they get. Roll of the dice, right? But unfortunately, with this less than ideal, less than professional gameplay design, a lot of people are going to get turned away, and you're going to get less and less people available for the Battlegrounds roster, and overall the economy will just die. And this is not to mention long-standing problems like gameplay lag, skills not firing off on time. These are things that we have to deal with since the I think since Dark Convergence started. I think that's where the gameplay really starts to go downhill. The Plague Break, Dark Convergence, and that Hothgra thing, I can't even remember the name. That particular patch was where gameplay starts to get really iffy. And it never really recovered after that. Okenso came along, Mara's Balm came along. I don't know, man. So, just leave your comments below. Let's have a conversation. And I see you in the next video. Goodbye.